Dude, I'm invested in Bashar. I think Bashar al-Assad, the Lion of Kentucky, he would be a phenomenal VP pick. That's my top pick, even more than Pritzker, even though I do like Pritzker. Dude, Andy Beshear, bro, he's so goddamn white. I mean, chat, give me the photo. Give me the family photo. Send me the goddamn family photo, please. I don't want to just show you something about, like, you know, this person is young, he's vibrant, he's dynamic, and most importantly, he has my favorite quality in red state Democrats, which is that well, not this. He has my favorite quality in red state Democrats, which is where he doesn't back down when it comes to like that most Democrats would panic over. That story about trans people coming to the Capitol, the state Capitol, and him like taking photos with them, like the Satanist trans people or whatever. His response to that was beautiful. Okay, that energy is what is needed in the Democratic Party. Like, this is not a joke. Andy Beshear won twice in a very red state and campaigned on abortion rights while standing up for trans rights. He's perfect for this year and would be a great contrast to Trump and Vance. That is the Lion of Kentucky right there, folks. I'm telling you right now. Look at his family. First of all, God damn, dude, they are so white. It's like a flashbang. When you click on this photo, it's like it blinded half of my Zoomer audience. Governor Beshear on his re-election and vetoing anti-trans bills. All children are children of God. I was going to stand up for the most marginalized children who didn't deserve either a state legislature or an entire campaign picking on them.
In a lot of ways. But one of the issues that came up was, of course, trans rights. I mean, you did not hesitate to veto a sweeping anti-trans bill passed by the Kentucky state legislature. But your opponents still kind of came after. They also, because of that, probably came after you on that. It didn't work. What does that tell you about the effectiveness of this kind of an attack and, this approach from a lot of Republicans out there?
Well, all children are children of God. That's what my faith teaches me, and I was going to stand up especially for the most marginalized children that didn't deserve either a state legislature or an entire campaign and all these super PACs picking on them. These are individuals that are already at the margins. The studies show suffer more mental health issues, are more at risk for suicide. We ought to be in the suicide prevention business and not further harming kids who are going through too much. I did it because it was the right thing, but I will say the way these super PACs and I'm
so pilled on him, dude. It's not even, it's just, he's such a goated pick. He is so good. And it was that story. It was the story where one of those freaks in his own state legislature that came out and was like, how dare you take a photo with them trans pedophiles? And he just straight up was like, those are Kentuckians, okay? Those are people from the state. Those are my people. They came to the state, and I'm not going to apologize for taking a photo with them. And I would do that every day. And he also demanded that the state legislator apologize to every person that he took a photo with. Governor's photo with drag queens stirs controversy in Kentucky. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, an activist drag troupe, said the controversy has helped further their goal of passing a statewide non-discrimination law. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, a Democrat, made history last week when he became the first governor in a state to appear at a rally for a Louisville-based fairness campaign, upholding a campaign promise to support LGBTQ rights. Each year since 1999, when Kentucky's first ever non-discrimination ordinances were passed into law, the City Council of Louisville and Lexington, the fairness campaign has lobbied lawmakers to make such discrimination illegal statewide. Shouldn't we be picking someone who supports policies that would create long-term power for the labor movement and the left in general? What's his record on pushing organized labor power? For example, Pritzker got the that's no. Pritzker is a phenomenal pick. You're absolutely right on that. I'm just saying, I really like him. I really like his energy. Like, for example, Pritzker got the right to collective bargaining in the Illinois Constitution. Social issues are important, but I don't think this is quite enough for me. I think that as the VP pick, it seems like Kamala Harris, at least in her track record, is like going to be as pro-labor as Biden, which I would say is like fairly pro-labor, if we're being honest. Perhaps even more pro-labor than Biden. Like, there is no indication to me that Kamala Harris is going to be anti-union or anti-labor in a way that like separates her from Joe Biden. Shapiro's terrible. Yes, we agree on that. The VP pick is going to be where the party goes next. Seems like we want the most left-wing person we can get, in my opinion. I agree. I love Pritzker. I would love a big boy ticket. The other reason why I really like Beshear or Bashar, whatever, however you say it. He's decent, I think, on labor, but beyond that, he dismantled the charter school efforts in Kentucky as governor and openly stood on business on that front as well. And like Pritzker is one, a billionaire. I like him a lot. He's very likable. His instincts are good. And I think more importantly, my turning moment on Pritzker was when he like tweeted that pro-trans thing that was like really goofy, but it was like obviously a bad thing to tweet, but it was so obvious that his heart was in the right place. It's so obvious to me that he is like the type of person that is genuinely earnest and is not like a political machine person. However, he's in Illinois. The reason why I like Beshear is that Kentucky is deep red and he sticks it to the Republicans. Maybe I'm being too much of a Democratic Party guy when I say this, but I think one of the things that I absolutely despise. Oh, it was this tweet. Yes, you found it. As a protest against Trump's rescinding protections for trans kids, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Hashtag protect trans kids. Like, that's such a stupid thing to tweet out, but it's like so obvious that this was not focus grouped, polled, and tested, right? He fired that off himself. Okay, that's a genuine take. And I get the spirit of the take. I get the energy that he placed on it. And I like it. Was not being literal, but I think today and every day we should be standing up for all our kids. Hashtag resist Trump. So one of the reasons why I really like Beshear, I'm going to keep calling him Beshear. Please stop yelling at me. One of the reasons why I really like him is because, like I said, one of the aspects that's lost in the Democratic Party and rarely ever occurs is a red state Democrat, or any kind of Democrat really, that sticks it to the Republicans, but especially a red state Democrat. Red state Democrats are propped up for being ideologically fluid. And I hate that. I hate that. I despise that to the bottom of my soul. I despise it. It's cowardly. It's bad. It's not a good idea at all. And I despise it. He does not do that. And I think that's really important. I just do not trust Southern Democrats. They're usually anti-labor. I don't think Beshear is anti-labor. Let's see. I mean, he backed the UAW strike. He went to the picket line. He went to the picket, I'm pretty sure. Here's a post from him saying, unions are the backbone of our economy, helping our Kentucky workers live better lives through promising careers. It was great to meet with the smart local 110 sheet metal workers to talk about the wins we're seeing and how we can work together to keep building on our progress. Here's how he is with the UAW. Unions have helped build our country and raise the standard of living and quality of life for workers. The fact that he's also anti-charter school is huge. Like that is probably an even bigger indication that he is pro-labor, because we all know that like the real reason for charter schools, aside from segregating schools, is specifically to abolish teachers' unions in this country at a time when, you know, they're already diminished. As Attorney General, he spoke out against right to work, and he's phenomenally popular. One of the most popular governors, and that's from the Kentucky State AFL-CIO. Like I said, these are the reasons why I am Beshear pilled. Here's the AFL-CIO also writing in 2023 November. If we don't have Beshear back in there, we won't have a firewall anymore. I'm so scared that they're gonna go with Pete Buttigieg, though. Now that's a motherfucker who's not pro-labor. He doesn't have the instinct. He only fights in a way that appeals to liberals. He's just he is basically our JD Vance. He's got more charisma than JD Vance, but that's not saying much because JD Vance is like a Donald Trump Jr. style pick. That would be terrible. Do you remember on the picket line? He sounded like a strikebreaker spy. I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's a McKenzie guy. No shot. No shot. Even though he can stand on the side deal that he cut as labor or not as labor, as transportation secretary with the railroad companies, that the railroad unions were pretty positive on overall. It wasn't the best deal, but it wasn't the best deal, but it definitely wasn't bad. And it was, you know, broadly popular by the railroad unions. He could say that, but even then, I don't trust him at all. If he didn't have a hostile supermajority in Kentucky legislature, do you think he'd be as gung-ho about his leftist policies? That's actually an interesting question. I think yes, because why would he be gung-ho right now about his leftist policies with an incredibly hostile red supermajority? He's the governor. He can just be like, well, my hands are tied. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if he thought personally that like there is a good reason for him to be kind of wishy-washy on a lot of these like leftist policies, he could so easily just say, well, my hands are tied. Look at what I'm working with. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of this man. Like, as far as I've seen, he seems like a really really solid choice. Pete is a great choice. No, he's not. You just saw one tweet and you're going along with it. If President Biden drops out, this is our best ticket. Kamala Harris, a career prosecutor versus convicted felon, a Midwestern mayor and Secretary of Transportation who's created hundreds of thousands of blue collar jobs versus a Midwestern first-term senator who's done nothing. No. Beshear absolutely destroys Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg doesn't read as like a Midwesterner anyway. He reads in the same exact way that JD Vance reads, a liberal institutionalist. Like, I don't even care. Like, people will say, oh, well, also Pete's gay. And there's already a woman, a black and Indian woman on the ticket. So we need like a heterosexual white guy, like a really white guy, right? That's not even a thing for Pete, I don't think. Pete doesn't even read as gay. Let's be real. I mean, they'll say like homophobic shit to him, but like, that's not even a question. My criticisms of Pete Buttigieg come from the fact that even from like a vibes-based attitude, I think he reads as like a smug liberal. He doesn't have like he doesn't have like good retail politician instincts at all. Biden, at least at his best, was a solid retail politics guy. He's not very good at that. He's too much of a well-read, oralist, rizless, annoying, smarmy Democrat. Yeah, he's bland and irritating. Pete Buttigieg would never tweet about how because of our interest in protecting trans people, everyone should go use the the opposite gender's bathroom today. He would never do such a thing. Okay, he's exactly the type of dude who focus groups every single goddamn tweet and message. He's got a focus group happening in the back of his mind at all times. He's a McKinsey guy. But yeah, he's pro-union. He's spoken out against right to work. He's eviscerated charter schools in his state. He's goated.
And people don't like that. That is not who we are. And this ought to be a message that you can't scapegoat people just to get folks angry. And it's wrong, right? Think about what some people are doing, trying to dehumanize other human beings, trying to turn people against each other, to even...
Like, my dream would be something between Gretchen Whitmer, JB Pritzker, and Beshear. I think like those three are pretty solid. Obviously, I wouldn't go with Kamala Harris. Like, she's not my top pick for this at all. But Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee. You know what I mean? She's going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party. So, and Gretchen Whitmer is not running for VP. And I don't even think she'd be good on the VP slot for this ticket in general. Anyway, let's
foster
continue.
Hate and anger towards another American here, another Kentuckian. Why? So you can elect one more person that has a certain letter behind their name. Listen, this can't be right and left. Some things have to be basic right and wrong. And we've got to get our politics back to where we ask the basic question of right and wrong. There's got to be limits. I mean, this can't be a ruleless type of game because it's so much more than a game. Ask any of these kids.
This is him talking about running on and winning on a pro-trans message in Kentucky, okay? And like in 2023, he was voted as one of the most popular governors in the country, okay?
And joining us now is the Democratic governor of the state of Kentucky, Andy Beshear. Governor, thanks for being with us. First, your reaction to the news that came down yesterday of President Biden stepping.
You will get a better understanding of why I like him, and I'm gonna be glazing him up again, by the way, from this point out.
Aside, and secondly, do you endorse Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket?
Well, thank you for having me this morning. I'm excited to fully endorse Vice President Harris as for the next president of the United States. The vice president is smart and strong, which will make her a good president. But she's also kind and has empathy, which can make her a great president. And the contrast between her and those running on the other side couldn't be clearer. J.D. Vance calls pregnancy arising from rape inconvenient. No, it's just plain wrong. He suggests that women should stay in abusive relationships. Listen, a domestic abuser isn't a man, he's a monster, and no one should support anyone having to stay in those relationships. So the vice president is ready. She has my full endorsement. I'm going to do everything I can to support her.
All right.
Does he have the charisma for the job? Yes. Yes, I do think so. Dude, he's Wonder Bread. He's white as hell. He even has a twang, okay? But more importantly, he's one of the most popular governors in the country in a deep red state like Kentucky. He's got twang. He's got swag. He fights. He fights hard for things that he believes. How do you think Beshear would do in a debate against J.D. Vance? I think he'd cook him. I think he would absolutely cook him.
So, Governor, would you then be open to the possibility of being a running mate to Vice President Harris?
Yeah. Well, let me first say I love my job. I love serving the people of Kentucky. The only way I would consider something other than this current job is if I believed I could further help my people and to help this country. I also think, whether I'm asked for that or not, that it's important to be out there, contrasting the vice president and those that she is running against.
So as vice president, you undoubtedly would be able to help your own people. So are you at least open to the possibility of being a running mate to Vice President Harris?
Well, I think if somebody calls you on that, what you do is at least listen. And I want the American people to know what a Kentuckian is and what they look like, because let me just tell you that J.D. Vance ain't from here. The nerve that he has to call the people of Kentucky, of Eastern Kentucky, lazy. Listen, these are the hardworking coal miners that powered the Industrial Revolution, that created the strongest middle class the world has ever seen, powered us through 2 world wars.
Yeah, that's why he's great as a perfect counter for Vance. And I hope they see that. He's a real one. He's the guy. He's the method. He's the movement. I think he's the best possible guy. I really like Pritzker as well. But the major reason why I like him is because he's not in Illinois. He's in Kentucky. And at a time when so many Democrats in the Democratic Party that are in red states behave like cowardly Joe Manchin stereotypes, he breaks that mold and never stands down, never compromises on his perspective, especially when it comes to the endless, relentless attacks against some of the most marginalized Kentuckians. I really like that. So they won't pick him? No, I think they could. I think they would. And the reason why I think so is because he also hits the optics angle really well. He is one of the most popular governors in the country in Kentucky.
So, Governor, you've been able to win election there in a state that overwhelmingly went for Donald Trump. So with that in mind, what should some of the messages be from the Democratic ticket going forward, whether you're on it or not, as it tries to paint this contrast with Donald Trump?
Well, what we've got to do is have a message for everyone. What we see from former President Trump are division and trying to rile one group up against others. My faith tells me that's wrong. The Golden Rule says we love our neighbor as ourselves.
Hallelujah, baby. He said, my fate tells me that's wrong. Dude, anytime somebody's like, yo, what about this guy? I just want to show them his family photo, his Merry Christmas photo. That's like a flashbang grenade. Okay. This dude is a faith build. He is the whitest motherfucker out there. He's got a Southern twang. He is OP. Okay.
And the parable of the Good Samaritan says everyone is our neighbor. So how about a unifying message that can bring people together and move us past this boiling point in our country? How about we focus on the things that matter most to people when they wake up in the morning? Because when people wake up in the morning, they're thinking about their job and whether they make enough money to support their family. They're thinking about their next doctor's appointment for themselves.
By the way, another thing you have to remember, he's not even doing the bullshit calls for unity that Democrats love doing or bipartisanship. He's literally saying, we got to focus on shit that matters for everyday Americans. None of this fake chaos and division caused by the Republicans. He's hitting Republicans. He's calling them out for culture war talking points. And he's basically bringing it back to policies. This is what you hear from the likes of Bernie Sanders. This is also part of the reason why Bernie Sanders, for the 600 years that he's been in office, has seen as like broadly popular and real, like earnest. He's doing that right now. This conversation is phenomenal. It's not a fake call for bipartisanships. It's not a fake call for Republicans to be a stronger party. It's not even fucking calling the question at the top of the hour ad break and trying to unify against it at the top of the hour by saying, hey, listen, if you don't want to see those ads, just like the rest of the community, all you need to do is subscribe. He reads as wholesome, very Christian. I'm telling you, he would be cooking, okay? He went on a pro-trans message in Kentucky twice. Pro-abortion and pro-trans. And he's popular. Like, you don't understand what that means.
themselves, their parents, their kids. They're thinking about the roads and bridges they're going to drive on that day. They're thinking about the public safety in their community, and they're thinking about the school they're dropping their kids off at. That's what most people worry about. And if we can't satisfy that, they don't get to whatever the issue of the day is in Washington, D.C.
Pro-union, anti-charter school, pro-LGBTQ rights, uncompromising, insanely Southern. He's perfect.
Is it important in this moment to cross the aisle even, to really make this about the future of our democracy as we know it? Whether it be George W. Bush or military leaders along with the Obamas and the Clintons, how much, Governor, is at stake in this election?
Well, a lot is at stake. And let me say it's always important to cross the aisle because those are our neighbors. Those are our friends, and we can't let ourselves become so divided because we checked a box that said D or R when all of us are unique. We're made up of the experiences of our lives, and we have different views, even if we're a member of a same party. And so we've got to make sure that we have that dialogue, and we've got to give people the ability, the permission to vote for whoever they think is going to be the best candidate. Mm-hmm. You know, partisanship is now everywhere. From the car you drive to the beer you drink, you're supposed to pick a side. And we just...
Oh, I'm gonna nut. I'm gonna nut. I'm gonna nut. I'm gonna nut. Oh, he even brought the beer. Oh my God, he's doing the Bud Light memes. Oh my God, I'm nutting. Oh, if I'm in Kentucky, I'm like, that's right. That's my goddamn governor, man. He's right about that. What has become of this goddamn country?